Good evening and welcome to the January 25th, 2020 Valley View School District Board meeting. Right after the pledge, I'm going to ask everybody to stand for a moment in a moment of silence for John Lukanczyk that has passed away last week. I personally have not known John Lukanczyk. I know many people in this district and on this board and administration have known him. I had the pleasure with Ms. Martinez being at a birthday party for a friend, introduced to her, and sat there through dinner and heard a lot of stories about Vito Martinez and John Lukanczyk, as you say, growing up in the district, and their thoughts of each other and their thoughts of the district. We live in a large community outside of Chicago, the ninth largest district. But when it comes down to, and you look around, you see a very small district where people know each other, schools are named after people, and it truly means what they call the Valley View School District family. So, Mr. Baduras, could you lead us in the pledge and then a moment of silence? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence, please. Ms. Pirro, our mission statement.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Okay. Ms. Kinder, the agenda.
Yes, sir. We would like to ask that you approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Pirro?
Yes.
Member Badur?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
And President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Consent agenda items, Ms. Kinder.
We have 3 consent agenda items this evening that we are seeking your approval for. 5.1, board meeting minutes from January 11th, 2021. 5.2, executive session meeting minutes, January 11th, 2021. And 5.3, gifts to A. Vito Martinez Middle School, Dr. James Mitchum Early Childhood Center, and John R. Tibbet Elementary School, and Romeoville High School.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Pirro?
Yes.
Member Baduras?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Abstain.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Okay. Student and staff recognition. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, tonight for our spotlight, we would like to share a spotlight of Nurse Jill, as she is affectionately referred to at KLH, Hermanson Elementary School. Nurse Jill will give you a glimpse into the life of school nursing that's certainly taken on a whole new meaning during the COVID pandemic. And so she'll just give you a glimpse of the hard work that she and all of her colleagues are doing all throughout Valley View School District, and they're doing a phenomenal job of supporting our students, staff, and families from public and community health. So here's Nurse Jill from KLH.
I also really just love comforting children who are in distress. So this is great because kids can come in, and I've had some real doozies come in where there's a real big injury, and they're crying, they're scared, and I'm just able to be calm and matter of fact with them and comfort them. And then by the time their mom comes to pick them up, they're in a much better place, and we're reading books or that sort of thing.
We all have job descriptions, official job descriptions, but they usually fall short of describing what you actually do. So tell us about some of the true duties of a school nurse.
Most of what I do really is behind the scenes. Patient care is such a small part of the job. I have to keep track of all of the students in the building and any health concerns that they might have, including how they're being treated for those health concerns. I need to make sure the teachers are aware of things like asthma or food allergies so that if something comes up during the school day, they're able to respond appropriately and keep that child safe. There's also all of the tracking that needs to be involved. Any student that's new to the school or in kindergarten, I have to make sure they have all their immunizations in place, they have a current physical, they're supposed to turn in eye exams and dental exams that year. And this all has to be done in a very timely manner because there's usually a cutoff date for some of that early in the year. September 1st would have been for this year.
How is the job of a school nurse different now than it was 1 year ago because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
This job has become more of a community health job in recent months. Not only before I was caring for just the students, but now with the COVID, I'm also dealing with families, and I'm calling a lot of people to find out, are they okay? How are they doing at home? What resources do they have? If everyone at home has COVID, who's bringing groceries to the house? Do they need help with that? I've gone to a couple food pantries and picked up loads of food and delivered those this year, just to make sure these families have food on the table.
What are some of the unexpected challenges you have had to meet in the planning for allowing our students to return to school safely?
We've been troubleshooting all of the possible situations that could occur at school, any possible areas of transmission that we need to make sure that we are aware of, all of the PPE that might be needed in various situations, because you might need more in one situation than you would in another, making sure desks are certain distances apart. What measures are we taking for taking masks off during school? Where are we going to put the masks when they're off and they're eating lunch? What happens if they break a mask or they lose a mask? So we've had to really figure out protocols for PPE, and if they don't want to wear a mask, how do we work with that? The other thing would be how do we handle students who have symptoms at school and getting all of the paperwork and the protocols in place for safely getting them home and then monitoring them and making sure they're okay.
So thank you to Nurse Jill Carpenter at Kenneth Hermanson Elementary School and to all of our school nurses and health staff across the district. We certainly appreciate all you're doing for the health of our students, staff, and community.
Thank you. Next, number 7 is the Board Liaison report. From my right? From my left? Anybody on Zoom? Okay. Audience participation. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? If so, please state your name and remember that due to time restraints, you have 5 minutes. Mike, anything? Nope. Okay, superintendent action reports, Ms. Kinder.
No report.
Action reports, Ms. White.
No report at this time.
Action reports, Mr. Raz. Gary, don't
I've been
say-
saving these.
Saving this for the best, huh?
Saving these just for
Gazafi.
this evening. We've got 3 action reports, beginning with our FY22 computing device refresh. At our last meeting, we brought you an information report outlining the needs for the refresh, student Chromebooks being the bulk of this refresh. Most of the Chromebooks are entering either their 5th or 6th year of service. All total, I think we have 7,353 Chromebook devices that will be replaced throughout the district. We've also got student desktops, much smaller amount there, used primarily in the middle school computer labs and high school labs. Student tablet replacements, if you recall, we touched on the idea that these are getting hard to find parts for, just with the huge demand globally for tablets. These are for our youngest learners. Primarily, these would fall with our EC in grades K and 1. So we're going to have some small addition of spares, along with making sure we have devices available for all of the youngest learners. Staff desktop, laptops and desktops, 415. Most of the bulk of that is for staff touch, flip, and non-touch laptops. We've got a small amount of desktops. Those would be primarily libraries where we have check-in and check-out, as well as search stations for students. Final pricing, we had 2 vendors that we were looking at. Dell has been a very good partner for us over the years. Also has some very aggressive pricing. We mentioned at our information report we wanted to get out ahead of this so that we are able to get the order received prior to summer, get things commissioned, inventoried, and ready for distribution. And so you see there we've got kind of a matrix of all the devices along with the model number, the manufacturer, as well as the unit costs. All total, $3,368,000 is what we're looking for approval for. Payment for that amount would be from 3 sources: digital equity grant, $744,000; our ESSER grant, which was our first round of federal dollars, $124,000, and the balance would be $2.5 million funded by our tax-exempt lease, which is what we have done here probably for the last 10+ years. So we are recommending approval of the device refresh as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have questions or discussions? And Gary, you did go out to a bunch of people went out for information on this?
We did. We looked at, like I said, competing products. Really, the big question is the ability to procure devices. Again, just a huge demand, and so we wanted to make sure that the products that we were looking at are A, available, B, they've gotten good pricing, and it's been a good product for us. And Dell, like I mentioned, has been a good partner for us for many years. So, yeah.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Shelley, can we have a roll call vote?
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora? President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Okay.
Next is our enterprise resource planning system for replacement of our legacy software for finance and human resources. We brought to you an information report back in November, which seems like 12 months ago, but nonetheless, at that time we were prepping you for the idea that we needed to replace our legacy administrative software. A couple years ago, we replaced our student side software with a product known as Infinite Campus, and now we're looking to replace the other side of the house, if you will. The software has been in place since 1984, and so much to my chagrin, I tried to get 5 more years out of the software, but nobody really wanted to do that. We had a 40-member committee comprised of various departments weighing in on what they wanted to see from a product. We started out with a 3-product evaluation, narrowed it down to 2, looked at the pros and cons of each product, what it would offer. That was contained in the information report, again, back from November. And sat on a lot of Zoom meetings, more than I care to remember, but ultimately we felt like we came to a good decision. It was a collaborative decision from all of the committee members, and most people are really excited about the idea of really getting off of this legacy software. And so in the packet, we've got again a matrix that is the result of a lot of hard work by Rob Gilmore, Susan Fischel, several others under the stewardship of the leadership of Astrid Welch, our Executive Director of Technology, to make a consolidated, comprehensive recommendation to replace our software. We've illustrated 5 years of cost, what we think that's going to look like. Year 1 is a big number to chew on. I will say that the product that we're recommending after much negotiation is actually less expensive by about $70,000 over the other product that was being considered. But we didn't enter it, we didn't choose this product because of cost. We wanted to make sure we were going to get a product that was going to provide what all the various stakeholders were looking for in an end result. And so with that, again, there's a lot of detail here. Hopefully you took the time to read it, but we are seeking approval to replace our data system and associated time management with Infinite Visions is the product by Tyler Technologies, and upgrade our legacy Chronos system, which is our timekeeping system that was also aging out. The initial approval is for $691,181 for year one. It includes all implementation, data conversion, project management, hosting, hardware, and support costs. And so that is the recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have questions or discussion?
Yeah, I have a question for Gary. Gary, this is 5-year, right? This is a 5-year projection.
The matrix, yes, is 5 years, yes.
Beyond that, what will the upkeep or the update monetary responsibilities be?
If you look at the grand total there between both the software product and the timekeeping, it's almost $300,000 a year that we would be expending. Right now, we're spending $318,000 when we cobble together all of the various disparate parts. So it's very, very similar to what we're spending now in terms of an annual spend. I think that's your question.
Thank you.
And Gary, you said this would make everybody's life a little bit easier? Because you were saying
Yes,
this
again,
a couple
with
years
with
ago.
the various stakeholders, I mean, went back, we sent out a survey back in July asking people what they were looking for. And so this is, there's been a lot of time that's gone into vetting this recommendation to make sure everybody's getting what they're looking for. Is it the perfect product? No, it doesn't exist, right? But we feel that this product will give us the most bang for our buck, addressing a lot of the things that have been sorely missing, sorely needed, sorely requested, especially when it comes to human resources. And so it's certainly our intent to make the best use of this product and be able to provide information that maybe we just haven't been able to get at a fair clip.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Final action report this evening is the recommendation for a contract for district crossing guards. You may recall the Village of Bolingbrook had a contract with Andy Frayne Services to provide crossing guard services throughout the Village of Bolingbrook, or the Bolingbrook portion of the school district. That contract expired back in June of 2020. In the Village of Romeoville, crossing guards were provided by the village through this past school year, at which time we discussed with the village that we would take over those services per their request and combine everything under one contract. And so we kind of outlined this back in November of 2016, which seems like 4 decades ago. And it was the school district's intent all along to take over that responsibility. If you recall the agreement with the Village of Bolingbrook, we were assuming the costs at a 25% share increased each year until we got to this last school year. Obviously, with us being shut down, there's not been a need for crossing guards, but with us obviously returning to student attendance, there is a need. We did put out a bid. We received 2 responses. They're listed there. Andy Frayne is a well-known entity. They're based here close in Aurora, Illinois. The proposal basically provides 27 crossing guards throughout crossings in the district at the same locations that they've been stationed at previously, along with a shift supervisor. The annual cost, as would be billed at that $22.61 or $22.61 per hour rate, is estimated at $246,690 for 176 days. For this year, starting on this past Tuesday, I estimate the cost to be $98,128. That's for 70 days, which is what it would take us through the end of the school year. It's roughly about $1,400 a day. So it's, again, not inconsequential, but it's a service that we need to provide for the safety of our students. With that, the recommendation is to award a crossing guard contract to Andy Frayne Services for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year, and subject to satisfactory performance of services, may be extended for 3 one-year extensions with a cost increase of 2.25% in the 2023-2024 school year.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any questions or discussions?
Yeah, I do. Will they hire new employees, or will they use the same local employees that were previously being used?
Yeah, good question. All of the existing crossing guards were contacted to see if they wanted to remain in the position. Obviously, the Bolingbrook portion of the staff were Andy Frayne employees. The villages were not. What we're being told is I think there was 3 that elected not to return to service. All the rest are. And so obviously they're going to fill those, plus they'll have a small group of substitutes to fill in when people are ill.
So, Gary, real quick, it's a flat rate for 3 years, and then if we continue on, it'll be 2.25 for another 3 years?
Just for that year. Just for that year.
A roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora, and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Action report, human resource, Dr. Nash.
Good evening. I just have one item this evening. It is our action report 12.1. This evening, we're seeking your approval on 37 items for certified personnel, 37 items for classified personnel, and 1 item for certified administrative personnel.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
and President Pro Tem Zach.
Yes. Superintendent information reports. Ms. Kinder.
Thank you. Tonight I have a brief, I hope, update for you on our Return Together plan, as we normally do. So today I just want to provide an update on our status of hybrid learning and continuing our remote learning, and answer any questions that you may have. This past week, we welcomed back our hybrid learners by bus or by car. We were so excited to see students back in our buildings, and even our littlest ones who'd never been in the school building before did a fantastic job. And so we are incredibly proud of our students and our staff and our families who worked through all of the challenges to make that shift to hybrid learning, as well as our remote learners and remote families who also had to make shifts so that we could get both models up and running. Our staff did a tremendous job once again of evolving into a new phase where we were running both models concurrently. And I shared last week in my message that I could not be more proud and grateful for the effort that it has taken from the entire community to get to this point. So we had a very successful start for our pre-K, K1, 6th grade learners. And we are excited to welcome back our next group of learners, which are additional pre-K. I apologize, I omitted our step learners came back last week as well. And we're excited to welcome back our next group of learners, additional pre-K, grades 2 and 3, grade 7, and grade 12. So as we continue in this phase of hybrid learning, we had shared previously that we have a phase transition occurring. Our students, as I shared, are really stepping into the new adjustments inside of our school classrooms, and here's just some quick shots of the health and safety protocols and how well everyone has adapted, and it has certainly taken a lot of effort, but our kids adapted very easily. It was very seamless, as best as we could have hoped for, and we're excited and hope to continue that momentum of keeping our students safely in our classrooms and supporting our students at home. So this transition timeline shares with you which groups we're bringing back each week, and our next groups up are additional students in pre-K based on their programming, grades 2 and 3, grade 7, and grade 12, and our STEP students will continue their programming as well. As I have in all of the previous updates, I've shared with you our metrics from a region, county, zip code, and then district level, so I'll just do this quickly this evening. We do see the 7.2% positivity for Region 7 as of January 21st. So we are continuing to move into a moderate range, which sets us up for very strong conditions for safe protocols in place in our buildings and mitigating the risk of community transmission inside of our schools. So we're very thankful for that. We have seen decreased mitigations in our region, so we're hopeful with a continued vigilance that we are able to stay on that positive trend in terms of positivity rate and the other metrics that are monitored. We will have additional information coming out soon regarding athletics and activities, as we've recently received information from the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Elementary School Association, and we will be, of course, falling in alignment with that guidance as well. So that's exciting to be able to offer activities and athletics to our students. The county level metric, I highlighted in yellow there that this data has a lag in it. So this data is through the 16th. And then our zip code data shows a rolling average COVID positivity for our immediate zip codes around 8%. And the 14-day rolling average is just under 8% at 7.78. This data remains publicly available. We continue to track and monitor, and as I mentioned at the last board meeting, we will of course keep a heavy focus on how the levels of community transmission are impacting us internally in Valley View in terms of our students and staff and any impact that we're seeing in the district. So as you can see the trends, we're continuing to monitor. We're definitely in a different place than we were back in November when we had taken an adaptive pause, so we're hopeful that we can continue on a positive trajectory with decreased cases and decreased positivity rates. The community dashboard is available publicly on our website, and for reference, this is the cases that that are reported to us from staff and students, as well as any quarantine. For reference, we have just about 15,500 students and just over 2,500 staff. So when we see staff cases, we currently have 13 active and 15 known active student cases. And of course, if there's, we've received some questions about why the dashboard doesn't update immediately. It does take 24 hours once it's reported in the system for that to show on the public dashboard. So I just wanted to make mention of that. We are continuing for our safe and healthy transition as we add more students back into hybrid learning for those that have selected it. We've shared a lot of information about health and safety protocols. Our building leaders and our building staff are doing a phenomenal job helping our students adapt to that. And our remote teachers, or the teachers who are teaching concurrently with hybrid and remote, are doing a phenomenal job adapting to that as well. I've said it 2 times before, and I'll just point it out to you again of the next transition, and this is tomorrow morning that we are expecting. So provided that the weather doesn't have other plans for us, these are the students that we will be so excited to see tomorrow. We never thought we'd be worried about a snowstorm on the first day of school, but it seems to be that's how things go this school year. So we're just gonna keep moving forward. But I'll mention this later, we are expecting to move forward with tomorrow as planned. It does look like the worst of the weather is going to have decent timing, and we will not be in a position where we will have to call a snow day. But if we do, we certainly will communicate with our community, and we will move to full remote learning if that is necessary. We'll continue to monitor this evening, and of course communicate if that becomes necessary. Our health and safety protocols are going very well. I wanted just to remind parents that this information is available online, and you've also received a mailing and information from your schools. The importance of self-certification and symptom monitoring for children and adults is critical, and it will be that effort that we make together to keep each other safe and healthy. Some other important health reminders regarding our self-certification wristband, symptom checking, quarantine and isolation. You saw earlier in the board meeting, one of our school nurses. They are a tremendous resource, as are our school leaders. And then school notifications, mask protocols, and then as we like to help our students get accustomed to minding your 6-foot bubble and keeping your space from others. So we'll continue with updates, we'll continue with communication from the school level as well as the district level on a regular basis. If you have any questions, please reach out. We know there's been tremendous amount of changes for students and for families and for staff. And it is just my sincere hope that we can continue the positive momentum that we've started and that we continue to work together for whatever challenges come our way. And that's the message that I'll close with this evening. And so I know the buzz is swirling as happens with the first kind of potential major snowfall of the year. And so we're monitoring those conditions. And if anything changes, we'll of course be communicating with everyone. And we'll continue to roll with the punches. So thank you, everyone.
I would like to make a quick comment. One of our elementary school principals commented on a kindergartner who she was outside as the kids were leaving school, their first day last Tuesday. And this little kid, as he got in the car, he said to his mom, "Mom, I had the best day of my life." Those are the comments, and those are the things that's why we're here, and that's why our teachers, it gives them the energy to get back into the schools and do their job.
New course, forensic. Ms. White.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, information is being brought forth prior to seeking approval for the adoption of a new course, forensics, for the 21-22 school year. Valley View School District currently offers, I'm going to give a little bit of background information, currently offers 4 standard level science electives: earth and space science, environmental science, geology, and zoology. These electives provide students with opportunities to apply science and engineering practices learned in core science classes. The current offerings provide opportunities for crossover between the fields of earth science and career pathways, but do not currently provide opportunities for crossover between physical science and life science. Forensic science provides an opportunity for students to synthesize information from both physical and life sciences while applying science and engineering skills to solve real-life problems. Providing this opportunity as a one-semester course will allow students to explore a wider variety of interests during their time here in VVSD. Also, beyond providing a broader scope of opportunities, it also supports college and career goals that students may not currently be receiving through some of their other courses. In November, 1,600 students across Bolingbrook and Romeoville high schools were asked about their interest in taking different potential science electives, and by far, forensics rose to the top. Approximately 75.8% of our students selected forensics as a course that they would be interested in taking in the future. The length of the course will be 1 semester, half credit, grade placements for 10th through 12th grade. The prerequisites are there, and I also have our executive director, Adam Herder, executive director of 612, and Christy Vey, director of mathematics and science, if there are any questions about this course. Thank you.
Do we see any possibility of having the police force come in and talk to our kids about the forensics done in the police department?
I'll let one of the teachers take that. We have a group of teachers that had a little presentation for you, but any questions that you have, we can definitely have answered by them. Do I have a volunteer?
Hello.
I can speak to that. So that is something that the group did discuss, definitely reaching out to our community resources, police department. We also have some top forensics labs here in Illinois and some national level labs that we can also talk to for guest speakers and, to help them with our course development as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody?
We get to see their presentation?
Yes, we were looking forward to it.
Good.
All right, thank you so much. Tonight we have with us a committee of 13 different individuals from Bolingbrook and Bromeoville, and they have worked over the last around 9 months putting together this forensics course, and they have some information they'd like to share with you tonight. Sandrine is here first from RHS, and she's going to start us off.
Thank you, Christy. So I'm really excited to talk about this new potential new course with you, but before we dive into the specifics, I just want to share a little bit more background about just electives in general. So right now we only offer 4 standard level science courses, 3 of which are a single semester and 1 is a full year course, but we'd like to expand those offerings just to provide a greater range of opportunities for students to engage in science while they're here in high school. So when we're thinking about these electives, we really want them to be able to apply their understanding from prior courses into really a deep dive into a new field. So forensic science really provides a unique opportunity to apply that prior knowledge in both physical and life sciences, which, like Ms. White said, it's not something we currently have in our elective offerings so far. So even more significant than that, forensic science can provide additional opportunities to support specific college and career preparation for our learners. So in 2020, our Naviance data showed that both lawyer and nurse were 2 of the most popular career choices for our students. And these are not only supported by the forensic science curriculum, but they're fields that are growing. So if we look at the projections from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can see that employment opportunities for lawyers are projected to grow about 4% by 2029, which is about average growth. But employment opportunities for registered nurses are supposed to grow about 7% and nurse practitioners by 52%. If we look beyond those fields into other occupations that are supported by the course, every single one of those fields is projected to grow more than average. So police and detectives to grow by 5%, private investigators by 8%, forensic science technicians by 14%, and information security analysts by 31%. And so what these data are showing is that not only does this forensic course prepare them for careers that we know they're interested in, but also prepares them for careers that we know will be there when they're ready. And so once we knew we had kind of a background on the impact for college and career preparation, we went ahead and solicited some student voice, and Becky Williams is going to walk us through those data.
Hi, everyone. So when we were looking at what types of courses we would offer as electives for our students at the high school level, one of the things that we kept coming back to was having a course that was more integrated, so that students are using the information that they've gained in their earlier courses. And that led us to forensics. In talking to other high schools in the area, we noticed that there was a great deal of schools that were offering it. And so we decided to take a look at what other high schools offered and survey our students based on those. And overwhelmingly, our students responded with an interest in forensics. 75.8 when we surveyed them in November. And we had almost all the students respond, which shows us that there's really a high interest in this class. And so we wanted to offer it at a standard level so that as many students as possible would have the opportunity to explore this elective.
A lot of this has been kind of mentioned already, but we really, because of the opportunity to integrate, more different types of science and more things that students have already done, but apply them to real life problems. And because of this high interest by the students, we really think that this is going to be a valuable opportunity for them. Just to get a little bit more specific about why we chose a 1 semester course, with only 7 periods in the day, a lot of times students find it difficult to kind of fit in all the different types of courses that they're interested in to suit their needs. So by offering this as a one-semester course, we can allow them to explore the field and continue their science education, but still leave some room in their schedule to pursue other interests. So to dig in a little bit deeper, Sad is going to take us through the course description.
Thank you, Sandrine. So in this course, students will apply scientific knowledge to answer questions of civil and criminal law, and further their development or further develop their scientific knowledge under the framework of the next generation science standards. They will be learning how to use scientific principles to analyze crime scene evidence in a lab setting and understand how evidence is applied in legal issues. And specifically, they'll be analyzing real life case studies as well as mock crime scenes, and will draw conclusions with an emphasis on connecting the evidence to a claim and then explaining the reasoning. So it's kind of like an overview of the course itself. And now we have Nicole with the course goals.
So the course goals were developed by looking at the science and engineering practices developed by Next Generation Science Standards. And these are the skills and methods that students would use for any kind of inquiry and investigation. We're looking at it through a scope of forensics, where they're asking questions as part of putting the pieces together and gathering data as evidence to draw conclusions and to solve problems. But these skills are universal to science and engineering and many other fields. They have to work collaboratively. They have to engage in arguments based in evidence. They have to look at opposing viewpoints and use math to model things out and to try to represent, the phenomena that they're observing, and to also gather all of that data and be able to, look at the information, evaluate it, synthesize it, and communicate it to others using scientific reasoning. And that's flows really well with the nature of forensic science and what they will be able to do with it as they move into their college and career readiness. And then next we have also the course objectives that I will talk through. So this slide says that there are 13 standards from science, and those are from the Next Generation Science Standards, which all of our science courses are aligned to. And this includes, physical sciences such as chemistry and physics, as well as life sciences such as biology. So it's really, a marrying of all of these different fields of science and how they come together in, an application that was really interesting to students, and they can see the importance and the actual work of science through this course. And then they're also aligned to the 8 Common Core English Language Arts Standards in areas of reading, writing, and speaking and listening. That draws back to when we were saying they had to, communicate information and be able to engage in arguments and debates about the evidences that they're seeing in their investigations. And then this is also aligned to 12 Common Core Math Standards in areas of reasoning with mathematics, using math to model and explain phenomena, generating, analyzing, and interpreting data, and using mathematical computation. So it's really combining all of those important skills that go into problem solving. And next, Kelly Weber is going to take the course outline, pacing, and grading for this course.
All right, and then for the course outline and pacing, you can see we have basically 6 different units, and we've kind of just evenly divided each of those units. So give you a little more history about what each of these would be. What is forensic science? It's kind of understanding what it is, understanding crime scene sketches, chain of custody, gathering evidence, and we'll also probably include death investigations. Chemical evidence would include things like drug identification, toxicology. Biological evidence would include hair, tissue samples, blood samples, bone, teeth. Physical evidence would be maybe fingerprints, pollen and spores, tool marks. And then patterns, we would look at maybe blood spatter, fingerprints, maybe even include some counterfeiting and examine some handwriting analysis. Then technology would just be focusing on cyber crimes. Our grading policy, we would just follow the standard VVSD board policy in terms of grading. And then next, we have materials that we would need. There's just a few specific ones we would need to focus specifically on some specific activities that we don't have currently the supplies for. One I can think of off the top of my head is we wouldn't want to use actual blood. So we'd have to purchase, some type of artificial blood for doing blood tests and stuff. We'd also have some materials. We'd probably have a textbook and maybe get the ebook to go with it, depending where we are next year, hopefully back in school. But and then we have a few other smaller items that we would probably need to purchase in terms of lab supply, in terms of like a fingerprint dusting, maybe some pollen or sample spores, maybe a little container of insects, because we probably don't want to actually grow the insects and bring them into the school. All right, and then next we're back to Nicole.
Hey, Nicole, you're muted.
So sorry.
It happens to all of us.
For the instructional methods, we developed a word cloud based on, all of the different strategies we saw using in a forensic science classroom. So the methods in this course would very much simulate the real life methods, skills, and techniques used by forensic scientists. Many of the activities would be scenario based and require like observation, analysis, and discussion and debate about solutions and explanations. Students would be applying their knowledge and skills in the field and applying it to realistic crime scene scenarios and case studies using things like discussion, definitely important, especially if they have opposing, solutions. And then labs and investigations are a hands-on course. Scenario-based problem-solving activities, different stations and modeling and demonstrations, recreating crime scenes, and then also research, and as we mentioned before, guest speakers to give them some real-life insight into where they can go in this field. I'm muted. Do we have any questions?
I don't think so. I would like to thank all you teachers and administration for doing this. This sounds like a very interesting class. It's something that I would see in Wilco, and it really intrigues me that we're trying something outside the box for our high school kids. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the 10-year life safety and survey. Mr. Grzaffi.
Yes, back I think in August, we approved TRIA architecture to provide and perform a life safety survey of all of our campuses as required by school code. This is required to be done every 10 years, and it's intended to identify any life safety issues in the facilities and recommend a remedy to bring these violations into compliance. In the packet are two large exhibits. The first is the results of the prior survey completed back in 2010 by White and Company Architects at the time. A statement of completion will be required, as all those items have been complete, will be required by the school board to do a final closeout on that 10-year report to be filed with the Illinois State Board of Education, with a resolution to this effect also included in the packet at our next board meeting. Exhibit B is the preliminary draft survey as prepared by TRIA Architecture. This will serve as our next 10-year survey beginning in 2021 here and ending in 2031. As a result of several months of inspections performed over the fall and winter of all of our campuses. The report basically has three parts: general building information, such as enrollment, building codes, construction type, utilities, and so forth. A list of improvements, or the spreadsheet that would include room location, code reference, description of work. That's the body, if you will, of the life safety survey. And then safety reference plans, site plans, floor plans, such as AV locations, fire alarm panels, exit signs, and sprinkler mains. very important document for making sure that we are in compliance again with the life safety code. I think overall, it's fair to say that the investment in our buildings over the years has resulted in a very favorable report. We've got very minor life safety improvements required over the next 10 years with a total value on all improvements in all campuses at $460,840. That price assumes contracted labor, which really, if you break it down, is about $46,000 annually. So again, a rather minor result of the survey, which I think is a source of pride, certainly for our Director of Facility Operations, Mike Lopez, and his entire team throughout all of our buildings and at the district maintenance barn. Funding for these improvements will be budgeted in the operations and maintenance and/or life safety budget over the next 10 years. As mentioned, at our next meeting, we'll submit a resolution for the statement of completion for the completed 10-year survey and a final safety survey report, along with a formal application for the approval of the new 10-year safety report for the upcoming 10-year survey. Following board approval, documents will be submitted to the regional office and to the state board for final approval. Any questions?
I have one. First of all, I think the fact that we have kept up on everything as we went along every year. If there were things that needed to be done, we did them. There were even a couple schools where had nothing that had to be done. But I did email Mr. Lopez and asked him about some of the things had no timeline at all. And I had a specific question about the concrete at Bolingbrook High School. So will that be more in detail at the next one we get in 2 weeks?
Yes, Deb, I appreciate the questions. Again, this is a draft. We're still combing through it to make sure that, we understand what's in it and what they're providing is accurate. Again, they had a daunting task in front of them. They weren't, White had been in the district for many years, built several of the buildings. We felt like TRIA could give us kind of an outside view perspective, but it was a rather, bigger challenge, if you will, than White, who had been the architect of record, if you will. And so we just want to make sure that what they're providing us is indeed accurate. And so we'll clean up some of those items that you had brought reference to. We were aware of one of them. Some of them, I know that the steps over at Bolingbrook High, if you've ever parked in the south lot and used the, I don't even know what you call them, they're big pieces of ledge rock to kind of get out of the parking lot. Those were done, I think, in the interest of environmental stewardship as the campus was constructed. They don't like to see that. It's not a stair with a handrail. We're not aware of anybody taking a tumble on those, but it's something that they bring, they mention, they bring to light, and it's something that, again, could be addressed, should be addressed. And so, we look at it and say, where is it in the grand priority of things? But that's one of those that, again, it's their duty to bring it forward. Some of the things are recommended, they're not required. And so we want to make sure that they aren't listed as being required on the survey. And so I know Mike and his team have put a lot of time in combing through just the draft report to date. And we'll continue to do that before we bring it back for a final approval.
Thank you.
Gary, 10 years ago, what was the estimated cost that they had on the old one going forward for those 10 years?
I don't remember what that was. I should. I can find it for you and send it out to the board. That's a good question.
Okay. Next on the agenda is legal service.
Nothing to report.
AFT, Valley View Council, and then Valley View Council personnel has no report. Any old business from the board? Any new business from the board? Any questions from the public on the actions that was taken tonight? Any announcements from the board? Any announcements from the administration?
I just have a couple. I want to thank our facility and operations leaders and our team who, through every season and every challenge that comes their way, they're with us. So they will be clearing sidewalks, clearing snow, making sure our campuses are safe, and helping us to make that assessment, as well as transportation, and help us determining that our roads are safe to transport our students with any inclement weather. So we thank them for their hard work. They'll be working late and in the early morning hours tonight. And then also on behalf of the principal of John J. Lukanzik, Tricia Rollerson, and the Valley View School District Administration, we'd also like to offer our condolences to the family of John J. Lukanzik. He certainly has left a legacy in Valley View School District. Tonight, we're sitting in the building named in his honor, and it is our privilege to carry on the legacy that he brought in Valley View School District. He was an amazing person who held a variety of roles. I had the pleasure of talking with him and meeting him on many different occasions, and I know he stayed in close contact with Principal Rollerson. And over the 14 years that this building has been open, he stayed in contact and attended events, and he was very, very proud of the staff of John J. Lukanzik, as well as Valley View. Principal Rollerson shared with their staff that Mr. Lukanzik had a heart of gold, and he was willing to go the extra mile to help anyone and everyone. And I think that speaks true to what we see not only at Lukanzik, but also throughout Valley View School District. So we're very proud to carry on that legacy and have his name sake after one of our middle schools here in Valley View School District. And our condolences to the entire Lukanzik family. Thank you.
I just wanted to give a little memory of John Lukanzik that I remember. I used to teach at Romaville High School, and Mr. Lukanzik used to come into the cafeteria and sit down with the teachers and talk and ask how things were going and get to know people. That's one of the reasons that he was very well liked. And he didn't work at Romaville High School, but was involved with the whole district, and but still felt it was necessary and something that he wanted to do to get along and to get to know everybody that was involved with Valley View. So that was a very good memory, and I think it's a great quality to have for anybody that belongs to the district.
Any announcements from our public? Seeing none, hearing none. Tonight, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
No, sorry, yes, we got the motion, the second. Seeing none, hearing none, we're going to need a roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Vic?
Oh, we're doing a roll call vote to adjourn.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Paduras?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
And President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes, thank you, and everybody have a safe ride home.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too.